I'd like to call to order the Utility Service Board for the City of Lawrence on the 25th day of February 2020. 4 of our 5 members are present, so we do have a quorum. And I would like to begin by saying that the minutes were sent to you for your review from last month's or last meeting, and I would entertain a motion that we approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes are approved. The claims were sent to you for your review by email. Would entertain a motion that we approve the payment of the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That is unanimously approved. Report of the utility superintendent.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we've got a couple of things on the agenda tonight. The first we'll take up is the approval of that professional service agreement with Christopher Burke Engineering. And Christopher Burke Engineering, they have a certified arborist on staff, and so we've run into a couple of incidences on our 47th Street and Richard water main project where trees were impacted. And so we had have her come out and evaluate the trees, and it was involved the installation of meter pits and potential damage to the tree, by getting into the roots, et cetera. So in talking to her, we have determined that it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have her input on all our water main and other projects going forward, especially as we work in these subdivisions where there's a lot of trees, and as we're replacing meter pits and service lines, getting up on those in those properties. So what we want to do is just basically have a master services agreement with her for that, and then do this task order, which will be for the first set of problems on Peyton Avenue for $1,700.
Scott, you said that there is already a task order for 1,700?
No, we want to get that approved along with the master services agreement for tonight.
Oh, okay. I had a question about that. I was reading through it, and now, is it okay now?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, the 1,700, is that just the task order, or is that a retainer fee for?
No, that's to evaluate those 2 trees and the impacts, and then make recommendations as to how we would address any potential problems.
Okay, so that's just
As,
fee to enter into an agreement.
right.
Okay. So in other words, that if she determines that the trees need to be cut down, then we're going to get another task order?
Well, not with them. That would be something we'd either do ourselves or hire a contractor to take down if it's recommended that the tree comes down.
Oh, okay.
Is it a pretty large tree?
Well, I think one of them is, yeah.
Okay. Anything further?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess I could carry on with the rest of it. So then the other is the approval of change order number 3 on the 47th Street water main improvements, and that is in the amount of $51,180. So that goes back to the problems we had discussed a few meetings back about the what we're finding in those intersections along 47th Street on all the side streets, and then we had to change plan on how to attack those and get them done. And so this is the amount to resolve all those intersection problems.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and you said there's some conflicts with the existing utilities. What is that?
Well, there's a storm sewer in there, and then we had some conflicts with old existing water lines that are in there. There's just so much in the road that in order to do it properly, and I think Brett here can maybe provide additional detail, or Paul can.
47th Street, it's just not feasible to install a water main and have to hold up all those utilities. So with the cost of the pipe, changing the pipe type, getting a bigger machine to bore of the pipe, it just increases cost. And you times that by 6, because there's 6 intersections. So that's
Yeah, out of all the alternatives we looked at, this is the least cost alternative that still results in a, acceptable final product.
So I know you said that if we do this proposed plan, then what that means is that we won't have to consider other utilities as much. We can just bypass them altogether. Is that?
Well, this will solve a particular problem at each of those 6 intersections.
Okay, so,
It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the project. I don't know how much actual excavation work is left, but that's not to say we won't run into something somewhere down the road. I mean, this just addresses the problems at those 6 intersections where the conflicts with the storm sewer being in the way and the way the everything is configured in those intersections. This is the best way to fix it.
Well, Terry, what were you thinking?
when I saw conflict with existing utilities, it was reading like there was some coordination that needs to be done with other utilities other than ourselves in addressing the problem. That was my only reason for asking the question was, would this solution bypass us having to even do that?
Well, after we fix these, there won't be any more problems with that storm sewer. I mean, the storm sewer is, as I recall, the bulk of the problem, right?
Because they're at the same elevation.
Right.
Okay.
And so, and again, that was just a problem that it was discovered in the field, and we just have to address it. And this is the best, lowest cost way to do that. But this change order is specific just to those 6 intersections. It doesn't address any other potential utility conflicts that we may encounter in another area of the project.
Okay.
The way it was reading, I just asked some questions. I just wanted an explanation.
No, that's fine. Okay. Anything else from your report?
Nope. Yes, I do want to bring up, in moving forward, in terms of trying to, keep things moving forward and not have any unnecessary delays. So when you guys approve a project, in other words, we propose a project, you guys say, okay, yes, we're going to do that project. We go through our bid phase and all that, and the project is actually awarded. So you've said, yes, we're going to do this project for X amount with this contractor. So you've already committed the utility to spend that money. So when it comes to signing documents like a notice to proceed, which does not affect it doesn't add days or subtract days from the contract. It doesn't add cost or decrease cost to the project. So on forms like that, we would just simply ask that we could sign those at the management level of the utility. And then, but anything that affects either the days, adding or subtracting days from a contract, or that modifies the contract financially, would still have to come to you guys.
I would personally like to have some discussion around that. And how would we be notified? Would it be a standard through email that this stuff?
Yes, we would still, I would either put that in a USB report or else I can send out emails. But I mean, these are forms and the authorizations or whatnot that don't affect the project in a financial manner. So again, it's all more about just schedule and keeping stuff moving on track without having to, incur delays.
What's our current practice? You stop and you.
Well, current practice now is like, so we give a notice of award, right? And then we have to wait 2 weeks to do a notice to proceed.
That you're
Well,
waiting on.
if the contractor has gotten his forms in within a matter of days, but yet I still have to wait a week and a half to do a notice to proceed because we have to bring it to the board when it doesn't affect the finances of the project or the time of the project that's in the contract. I just think we should be able to sign those, and then, of course, we would keep the board notified of what, those steps were, but again, they don't affect the financial aspect of the project. Anything that affects finances would, like a change order, would come to you guys.
Just as a point of information, is there a minimum amount that change that would be a change in the cost have to be hit before a change order is submitted? Is there a minimum amount that a change order?
No, any change order, even if it changed the project by $1, would come to you guys. We don't have that authority at our level to change a contract that the board has entered into. Is that correct, substantially?
So the finances, the amount of the contract is set.
Right,
The scope of the work is set.
right. And the only way the finance,
Administrative things as far as,
right, these, I'm just talking about documents that really, they don't affect the finances of the project or the timing of the project as far as the number of days to substantial completion or final completion.
Sounds okay to me. I was just curious about the change order part, but.
No, a change order changes the cost of the project, which that has to go to the board, because the board is the fiscal body of the utility.
okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I would think, just going forward, that there should be some kind of minimum amount, that would have to trigger a change order, because when you say $1, then you're talking about change order that amount to thousands of dollars. That, that seems like such a waste of time, probably. It seems like the people in the field would be able to
Well,
decision.
when you're, and I use the $1 just as an example. A typical change order is not going to be $1.
Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is that anything that changes the financial contract that the board signed with the contractor, any change to that needs to come from the board, not me, regardless of the amount. And I don't think I would want that to be any other way.
Okay. Understand that.
Okay. Everybody understand where we're at as far as, this would be more administrative type things you talked about?
It's like sometimes when I've tried to, get a hold of you, and either you come to my office or I got to run out to your house, try to find you or hook up or something like that, just to sign a notice to proceed, which doesn't really affect anything other than just tells the contractor, all right, get going, start mobilizing.
Yeah. On contracts, obviously, that have already been approved and.
Right, the board would have already approved the contract and awarded it to the contractor.
Okay. Any objection to that?
No objection. I just wanted to make a recommendation that it be included in your superintendent report and maybe an email so that
Sure.
it's not a 2-week gap for us that we're finding out about it.
Right.
So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that's easy to do. We can do that.
okay. All right, well, thank you, Scott.
Did you want me to touch on the project updates at all, or you happy with what you read there? So we got Franklin Road, we're still on track for completion in early March. We're actually in the process of working out the final, how we're going to handle the final paving with the contractors now. Elmhurst lift station basin, sewer basin improvements, those are slated to be, the first ads go out on March 2nd. Expecting to have the notice of award at the first meeting in April. I think that's our plan. And so we'll get that going, and we're saying about 6 months to complete that project, so maybe in about October we'll be done. Brookhaven Water Main, the pre-con was held this afternoon, and work should be starting around, I believe, March 9th. About March 9th, and then we expect that project to wrap up in October as well. That's the planned timeline for that. But yeah, it's if all the stars align and the weather cooperates and all that. And then 47th Street Water Main Project's on schedule. And other than our just addressing these intersection issues, no major problems on that project.
All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Unfinished business, I don't believe we have any unfinished business. Under new business, there are two items. Number one, approval of change order number 3 for 47th Street water main improvements to increase the project by $51,180. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. We've already discussed this to some degree. Any further discussion or questions regarding this matter? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oh, excuse me, Terry, go ahead.
Oh, we're gonna do the next. I had one other question on that. I'm sorry, it's the next order. It's the next order, please.
Okay? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That is approved. Second item is the approval of engineering and environmental on-call services with Christopher B. Burke Engineering, LLC, for certified arborist. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that matter?
Yeah, I had a question about that. This agreement, what's the length of it?
The master services agreement will remain in effect indefinitely. Where we issue them work will come under task orders. That's how we do a lot of our engineering projects.
Okay.
We have a master services agreement, which doesn't have a timeline, but when you have a specific project, then that falls under a task order.
Okay.
So when we issue a task order, then that task order will contain the scope of what we've asked them to do, the deliverables, the timeline, and then the cost.
Okay, that's where I understood it, because it's reading on-call services, meaning as needed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 1,700 is just, what, just a fee to have them on?
No, that's just the task order number 1, or I think we called this one the Peyton Avenue task order.
Oh, okay.
But if we have then another need for her to come out and, we've suspected or a customer believes we've damaged a tree, then we can issue another task order for her to come out and inspect that and do her evaluations and make whatever recommendations arise out of that.
It's really not a retainer, it's her job.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a retainer.
It's not a retainer. Then what is it?
It's a fee for work that she is going to do for us.
Indefinitely.
Yes, we're going to do a master services agreement, and then under that master services agreement, we issue task orders. This first task order is for $1,700. And $1,700 is for her to come out and inspect and evaluate those trees, make recommendations, and give us a report as to what she recommends that we do to address those issues.
So would the anticipation be then that every time we have her come out,
That I would bring a task order to the board before she would do anything.
Okay. So the master agreement is just to have this person on call.
Yeah, you're basically, you're just saying we have a contractual relationship with Christopher B. Burke. And then under that master services agreement, if we have a task we want them to perform, we work it out with them, the specifics, we bring it to the board, ask for a task order under that master services agreement. If the board says okay, then we issue that task order and they perform the work and we pay them.
Is there anyone on our staff that can do the same?
No, not, you have to, in order to do what needs to be done, you have to be a certified arborist.
Okay.
Which the city does not have
No.
on staff. Okay, you have enough information? We have this kind of arrangement with other,
Yeah, we sure do. Yep.
obviously for other things.
Yes.
I suppose the concern that we would have would be, we don't want to get into spending money that we haven't authorized.
Right, but the only way we would spend money with them is if we brought you guys a task order and you approved it. Just because we have a master services agreement doesn't mean I can just issue them work without accountability. I have to bring a task order to the board and get that approved before they can do anything.
What I'm hearing is this, and then we can move on, but what I'm hearing is that basically we have a professional services agreement that costs the city $1,700.
That is not correct. What we have is a master services agreement with a task order that was issued under that master services agreement. The task order costs $1,700 for work that she will perform for us. It is not a one-shot deal. The master services agreement, you have to think of that separately from the task order. Master services agreement just means I have an agreement in place with Christopher Burke to perform those services enumerated under the master services agreement. But those can only be done under a task order, which has to come before the board to be approved before the work can be done.
And I guess what we gain from this then is to assure ourselves that we have a certified arborist available.
Right.
We need one?
If we need one, and actually she'll also participate in our plan reviews as we develop plans to make sure that, we don't run into problems, in the course of the project. The goal being eventually to have this to where she has reviewed the plans before we even start doing anything and has identified potential conflicts, and those are addressed in the plans before they become a problem. But because we didn't have that in place now, we're having to get a task order for her to be able to come out and address some problems that have come up in the course of the project because we didn't have I forget what they call it, a tree preservation plan.
Jason, do you have anything to say about this? I see your name as one of the people who approved it. I mean,
Not really nothing to add what Scott has said. I mean, I think this has been a fairly common arrangement on these types of agreements, and the master agreement doesn't necessarily obligate the utility to a dollar amount. It's the task order, and so as Scott has said, you're not going to all of a sudden see a bunch of invoices to this firm that's over and above task order one. That's all you will see, and then if there's future work to be done, it would be brought with additional task orders, 2, 3, whatever the numbers may be. Yeah. So you're going to know what dollars are being spent before they're spent. It just allows us to have access to this particular vendor, in this case, an arborist, if the utility needs it.
I can see the need for an arborist, and that would protect the city because you need someone who knows that type of work. I'm not questioning the need for that. I was just kind of trying to work it through in my own mind, the procedure on how they were brought on board. But I can understand that every time she identifies work, there's gonna be a dollar amount attached to a task order, and we'll have to vote on that, and the job will get done.
Yes.
I completely understand that. But I guess I was just a little puzzled as to what it would take to get the ball rolling. Because we've never had an arborist on staff before, have we?
I'm not aware of the city having an arborist.
So this is the first time.
I'm not sure, at least in my time, I'm not sure if we've had even an outside arborist that we've contracted with, but, so yeah, I mean, it's possible this is the first time the utility is engaged with one. But again, I would say from without task order number 1, the master service agreement would just be approving the fact that now there's one available to the utility, subject to future work, which would then be brought to the utility.
That part is clear.
Okay.
So Jason, just real quick as a general question, would you, for example, if we saw like 5 of these task orders, would you kind of say, well, let's take a look at this scenario, are we being excessive or not really? If I know it's,
I would think if all of a sudden you're approving task order 13 and the dollar amount is such that, maybe we're supposed to say, hey, could we go out and bring an arborist in-house for better economics, that absolutely we would do that. I think there's a lot even further into that conversation, which would be, was this an unusually high year versus, bringing one and then next year not having enough, but it's kind of evaluate as we
go.
move into it. But absolutely, I mean, I think we would all sit there and say, if it looks like we're going to be exceeding what the going rate for an arborist in-house would be, we would want to explore that.
sounds good.
Well, everybody feel comfortable with that? If so, motion's on the table for the approval of this. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay, that is unanimously approved. Account adjustments. Number 1, 6284 Seaside Circle, requesting a sanitary sewer adjustment in the amount of $736.24 due to a service line leak. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have just a question since we've been talking about money. I mean, I see we've got 3 of these here, and they all are about the same amount. Seems kind of high. Can anyone speak on?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
The question is, it's $736.24, and I'm asking why is that amount so high that we were not able to detect it, or the owner of the property was not able to detect it?
Yeah, it was a leak in the water line.
Okay.
So before it being detected, them hiring a contractor, getting it fixed, that's how much consumption was used that went through that leak.
And you kind of answered my question already, that it has been fixed, so.
Yes, absolutely. We don't do any adjustments unless the repairs are made.
Okay.
And we do recommend approval.
Anything further? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay, that is unanimously approved. Item number 2, 12323 East 7th Street.
It's supposed to be 47.
75th Street.
Oh, I'm sorry, what is it?
It's just 7th on our
75th Street.
agenda.
75th Street. Okay, there's a
Yes,
misprint on our.
Misprint on that. Right there.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Item number 2 would be 12323 East 75th Street, requesting a sanitary sewer adjustment in the amount of $789.74 due to a slab leak. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay, That is unanimously approved. Item number 3, 10966 Echo Springs Circle, requesting a sanitary sewer adjustment in the amount of $576.57 due to the irrigation and backflow device freezing and bursting. Entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Remonstration of ratepayer dispute regarding disconnect notice. I don't believe we have any. Citizens' comments. See none. I entertain a motion. We adjourn.
I've got one question. I'd like to just ask it out, since I am a citizen also. How are we coming with all of our customers using the online payment system? Is that 100%?
No, we're well over 6,000 accounts created. So yeah, we're slowly gaining, we're getting there.
Where are we percentage-wise?
Yeah, third, yeah.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked is because we just signed up in my household also, so I didn't know if we was ahead of everybody, dragging behind.
Yeah, I did it early on. I personally love it, especially with the recurring credit card and paperless billing. I don't ever actually see my water bill anymore. It just automatically gets paid. But obviously I do go online and look at it, but when I say I don't see it, I don't get it in the mail.
So as far as participation, what is our greatest expectation from all of our customers using it?
I don't think it would be ever be the case where you're going to have 100% participation. But I would think over the next several years, I would think we'd get I would hope maybe at least 80%.
But we're at 30 now.
Yeah, roughly, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Any further? If not, all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.